Okay, so let's start altering our two images. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to go Image Mode, and I'm going to change the mode, the color mode of the image from RGB color to grayscale. Now you need to know that you're throwing away color here because that's what you're doing. There's no going back on this once you've saved the image and gotten rid of your color information. So I'll click on grayscale. And it asks me if I want to merge the layers. Now, no, I don't want to do that because I need both of my layers separate. So I'll say don't merge, and I'll say discard. And you can see that the color information has been discarded, and I now have two black and white, basically, images on separate layers, completely aligned. I also, after I aligned both of these, I wanted to point out that I used the crop tool to crop it into a nice rectangle. Okay, so we're going to start modifying. Let's start with the lower layer. So I'll turn the eyeball off on the upper layer and select layer 0. Notice it really matters which layer you've clicked on here. So I've got layer 0 selected and the eyeball is on, and so that's what we're working with. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the levels. So I'm going to say image. So I'm going to say image adjustments levels, and that'll bring up the levels dialog box. And what I want to do is I want to darken this image, so I'm going to drag this slider. Notice how we can darken the image here, so I'll just drag that over here, and also I'll take this gray slider in the middle and I can further darken here. Now I like how dark it's getting, but I want the outside area of this image to get even darker. So in other words, I like how dark it's getting inside the bathroom, but not outside of the bathroom. So I'll accept that. All right, that looks good. Let's do that also to layer 1. So I'll select layer 1, turn on the eyeball, and once again, image adjustments levels, or Control L on your keyboard. And we'll just darken that up a little bit. We'll move the gray slider over. And you can see that that's looking pretty nice. Now I'll click OK, and so now we can test. So below, and with the lights on, lights off, lights on, you can see that the outside area of the bathroom, just outside of the bathroom, is distracting, and we need on the darker version to have this outside area darker. So what I'm going to do is I'll leave the eyeball off on layer 1 and select layer 0. I've got the eyeball selected, and I'm going to use the Polygonal Lasso tool. So hold down your mouse cursor, the mouse button, and grab the Polygonal Lasso tool. And I'm just going to click out here, and then click here. And then I'm going basically up the door frame here, and outside of the image even. And I will click here, and we'll say here, and here, and here, here, and here. I'll just go across and I'll close the loop. Notice as the Polygonal Lasso drags over to where we started, we see the little circle icon on the cursor, meaning close the loop, and click, and our selection is made. So right now, if I do a Control L on the keyboard and open up levels, it's only going to affect the area that's selected. See that? So that's good. So, but I don't want to adjust the inside of the restroom. I want to adjust the outside. So I'll do select inverse, and now I've selected the opposite of what the selection was. And now I can do that Control L on the keyboard, and I can darken up the outside area. All right, so that looks good. I'll click OK, and that looks pretty good. So if we turn the eyeball on, here's the bathroom lit up. There's the dark bathroom. You can see that the outside area now is being less affected. Now, I still think that this dark version of the layer, the right side where this light switch is too light for the dark version, that this would need to be darker, and it's kind of lighting up right here near the light switch on the dark layer. So what I want to do is just darken this one up just a little bit more. So I've got layer 1 selected, or layer 0, that is the bottom layer. I have the eyeball on. I've got my Polygonal Lasso, and what I'm going to do is just very quickly modify it one more time. So I'll just click, 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 close the loop, make my selection, and image adjustments levels, and we'll just darken that up a little bit more, and maybe we can just from mid-gray darken that. There we go. Now that's going to be darker. So now I deselect, Control D on the keyboard, Control D as in David, and now lights on, lights off, and so lights on, it's lighter, lights off, everything is darker. And there's no flip-flopping between light and dark in certain areas of the image. So we have our two images now, and let's apply some effects. So once again, we'll start with the darker image. So I'll turn the eyeball off on layer 1, make sure layer 0 is selected, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say filter, noise, add noise, and I'm going to add a uniform distribution of noise, and I'm going to take it up to about, let's see here, about 9%. So with the noise, you can preview, turn off the preview, that's before and that's after. And so that's adding this grainy texture to the image, right? I can click in here to see certain areas. Notice the areas we're looking at. Click the minus sign or the plus sign, you can see certain areas of what it looks like before and after. All right, I'll click OK, and so we now have the noise on the bottom layer. We need to do the same thing to the top layer, so I'll select layer 1, highlight the eyeball so we see it, and do the same thing. So filter, and I have it now previewed here at the top of my menu. So filter, add noise, and that's automatically going to add the same amount of noise to the image. Now let's look at some other filtering options. What I'll do is I'll go to Filter, Pixelate, and one of the things that I looked at was the pointillize filter, and also the fragment filter and the crystallize filter. But instead of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an oldie but goodie, and I'm going to use image adjustments and posterize. And so I'm going to posterize the image. Now you can see here when you posterize and there's only 4 levels, you get in essence 4 tones of color, and that's not enough. So I'm going to take it up, and as you can see the images. And so depending on how posterize or rough you want the image to look, and this is just for effect, I'm going to take it up to, let's say, 45 this time. Last time I did 47, but this time I'm going to do 45. And so now there you have it. And then I'll do the bottom layer, turn the eyeball off on the upper layer so we can see the bottom layer and select the bottom layer, and also image adjustments, posterize, and I'll take that up to 45. Maybe 46, because this one, or 47, it's starting to get a little too dark so that we can't see what's happening, but that's okay. Click OK, and now we've got our 2 images. This is the dark, and this is the light. Now if you want to experiment and go on with other filters, I recommend looking at the Pixelate Crystallize option, and you can see here the cell sizes. If you go to, let's say, a 9 and click OK, you can see that it has a little bit more extreme result as far as noise, and that might be good. That might have been a nice option, and I think I decided on my last version not to do that, but it does look pretty good. So I'll do Control Z on the keyboard to back out, and I think I'll accept this as it is right here. So I'll save my image, File, Save As, and I'm going to save it as a Photoshop document so that I save my layers. So I'm going to call this Bathroom Scene Finish 2.